Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my Author's Answer video for January 2026. The Author's Answer series was started by J.D. Archer and his writing group. They started it on his blog, asking themselves a variety of reading and writing related questions, and then J.D. moved several of those prompts over to his AuthorTube channel. So I'll link to all that information down below. There are plenty of prompts. I have been doing this for years, going sequentially through each of the prompts, one per month. And this month, I am up to question number 106. And I'll also link to my own AuthorTube playlist down below, because there's a lot of, obviously, Author's Answers videos behind this one. But anyway, this month's question is to talk about interesting things you've learned through writing or through research about writing, or experiences you've had that you've applied to your writing. And I've been a bit nervous about this question because now we're talking about, trivia things, and I get very overwhelmed, I think. And one thing, maybe talking of New Year's resolutions, I should try to do is have more confidence in my ability to understand things, because I think that's where I tend to fall apart, especially as someone who is writing epic fantasy in an Iron Age setting. So it can feel easy to feel out of my element by a lot. I also feel like I tend to be much more fascinated by the broader philosophical world-building details, like about just the complexities of what it means for cultures and societies to truly exist. I'm just coming off of a high of reading the latest installment in the Roots and Chaos series by Samantha Shannon, which I absolutely adore this series, and it's ostensibly a St. George and the Dragon retelling, but she's created these just layered societies in this secondary fantasy world. Like in this book, which is a short little prequel book for her, actually, it takes place predominantly in two kingdoms that follow Virtuedom, which is sort of the St. George knighthood type of religion that really grew, especially after certain people slew dangerous dragons, or called worms. And first of all, there's two different stories about who exactly is responsible for the slaying, and that inculcated two very different religions about, who you follow. But even like Virtuedom is kind of like Christianity in Europe. But the different countries in this, continent of sorts had earlier ancient religions, and that comes into play like in the main country here, where we're living at the foot of a volcano, and the old religion talked about a god who put a creature into the volcano, and then it was supplanted by the Virtuedom knighthood and how they understand the world. So there's like clashes about what people believe and how history changed those beliefs. And then in the second country, there's a lot of complexity about just warring ethnic groups, and about who, reaching out to the queendom that is sort of like, I guess, in a way, the papacy in a way, kind of sorts, about one of the countries sort of gaining their own independence from, the second country, just because of ethnic squabbles. And it's, I guess the type of stuff, and she just sort of has the characters constantly talking about it, and mileage may vary. It's not what doesn't maybe work for everyone to get this invested in, the backstory, as it were. But for me, it just makes the world feel so much more complex and believable, because it pays heed to the fact that real societies are multifaceted, and it's not just a scrim over the plot of your story. So that's where I'm coming from with all of this, and it's what gets me really jazzed up, maybe too jazzed up, with my own world building of my epic fantasy novel. And I've done some starts and stops as I've overplayed and overthought and reworked some of the backstory to my own world building about religious and cultural history. Also, mine is very much based off of Jewish culture and history and religion, but still trying to find the lines between where the reality can seep in. I have a lot of, Hebrew in my world versus, what I should make fantastical. And that's something I think that comes up a lot in Jewish-inspired fantasy, about how close we're allowed to remain to the real concepts when we're making up our own, like, real holidays and real traditions in a fake world. So that's something else I'm contending with, which has little to do with the question. There is one thing, I said mine is an Iron Age inspired world in large part. And I remember at one point researching how pee was used a lot in the laundering process, particularly in the bleaching process, to get out major stains. And in fact, I put in an entire sort of scene about sort of a laundress with lots and lots of pee, and I shared it with my writing group, and basically it was just stomping around in a lot of pee, and they had a lot of questions and thought, surely there has to be more to the process than stomping clothes around and pee. And I have to go back to the drawing board a bit and not be too overwhelmed, I suppose, about what the laundering process entails beyond the pee. But it's a little amusing in its way. I thought I used the pee to humorous effect, actually. Another thing I'll mention is this video I watched several months ago that, of course, I haven't rewatched or refound yet. So I'm speaking not with a lot of authority here, but it was about sort of criticizing how religions often are portrayed in fantasy worlds, because they can lack the complexity of how real religion is experienced. Usually it's just sort of this overarching belief system that's sort of rained down on the people, but it doesn't think about, like in the Roots of Chaos book, about how religious expression changes throughout the years, and one is over, like old religions are supplanted by new religions, and also that religions that are really vast, like Christianity or Islam, are experienced differently by different ethnic groups. And actually that's technically the same even for Judaism, which is a much smaller religion, but there's been a lot of different cultural expression throughout the generations, and different things about comparing the real complexity of real religion to how difficult it can be, I think, to map that into a fantasy world, and you really have to think these things out a bit. It went after Game of Thrones a little bit, and then there was some pushback from fans about some of the questions, but overall I found it to be personally enlightening, so I'll see if I can put that video down below. And with that, I think that about covers it for me now. I am sitting at the window as the sun is about to come in on my face, and I have barely any battery left from my last video, so these ones are usually pretty short and sweet. Anyway, you should find me next on this channel for my final video of January 2026. I'm pretty sure it should be my January book haul, another hopefully short and sweet video, so stay tuned for that. I hope those of you who experienced the huge southern to east coast snowstorm with me are doing okay. I know the cold weather is remaining in these parts, or so I heard. I haven't actually been outside, although I have to go out today as I'm filming because work is finally open again. So just let's hope we stay safe out there on the roads. So we'll see if I'm back. Hopefully I will be. But in the meantime, thanks so much for watching, everyone. Keep writing, and I'll see you next time.